Okay. Dayamaya Prabhu, I think you can start now. So, Hare Krishna devotees, we are very fortunate to have his case, Dayamaya Baladev Prabhu, today giving Bhagavatam class. He's going to enlighten us from 4th canto, 24th chapter, 75 verse Rudra Gita. Over to you, Prabhu. We can take over.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam to everyone. So, first of all, I would like to thank for the management for giving me an opportunity, even though I have no qualification to speak on such an elevated subject. It is for my own purification and as service to Guru and Krishna. I would like to take this opportunity. And please forgive me if I have any shortcomings. I am not very good at doing this service. So anyway, I am just trying to practice, and I would also like to thank everyone for giving me an opportunity and giving a patient hearing. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistuti. So today we are dealing with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, text number Canto 4, Chapter 24 and text number 75, wherein Shiva is instructing the Prachetas as to how to practice Krishna consciousness. Prabhuji, can you please share the sloka, Prabhu?
You want me to share or you?
Yeah, Prabhu, please share, Prabhuji.
Okay, sure. One second. Is it visible, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Shreyasamiha sarvesham janam nishriyasam param sukam sarati dushparam jnananaur vasana arnavam. Translation. In this material world, there are different types of achievement, but all of them, the achievement of knowledge is considered to be the highest because one can cross the ocean of nuisance only on the boat of knowledge, otherwise the ocean is impossible. Purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Actually, everyone is suffering within this material world due to ignorance. Every day, we see that a person without knowledge commits some criminal act and is later arrested and punished, despite the fact that he is actually may not have been conscious of his sinful activity. Such ignorance prevails throughout the world. People do not consider how they are risking their lives in an attempt to have illicit sex, kill animals to satisfy their tongue, enjoy intoxication and gamble. It is very regrettable that the leaders of the world do not know of the effects of these sinful activities. They are instead taking things very easily and are succeeding in making the ocean of nuisance wider and wider. Opposed to such ignorance, full knowledge is the greatest achievement within this material world. We can practically see that one who has sufficient knowledge is saved from many dangerous pitfalls in life. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Janavan Mam Prapadyate. When one actually becomes wise, he surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudevam Sarvam Hiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Such a great soul is very rarely to be found. This Krishna conscious movement is determined to open wide eyes of the so-called leaders who are full of ignorance and thus save them from the many pitfalls and dangerous conditions of life. The greatest danger is the danger of getting a body lower than that of a human being. It was with great difficulty that we attain this human form of life just to take advantage of this body and re-establish our relationship with Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda. Lord Shiva advises, however, that those who take advantage of his prayers will very soon become devotees of Lord Vasudeva and thus will be able to cross the ocean of nuisance and make life perfect. Om Ajnanantimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So here, Srila Prabhupada is describing that the knowledge is of two kinds. One is material knowledge, which is ignorance and also called avidya. The second one is spiritual knowledge. The spiritual knowledge is the real knowledge, and this is called vidya. Now, who can impart the real knowledge? And which is very important. It is specifically stated in the Shastras that the saints who have controlled the senses can impart this knowledge to the entire material world. So therefore, and in Ishopanishad, it is also stated that the real knowledge can give us happiness, which is spiritual knowledge. So generally, the materialistic people, they are not aware of the real knowledge because they are wandering only in the material knowledge. Because material knowledge, it is stated here that it is ignorance. When a person is in ignorance, he will not know what is the real happiness. Real happiness can be obtained only through the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge. So man is advanced in so-called technology, science and technology. And because there is so much of advancements in science and technology, he thinks that by that advancement in science and technology, one can become happy. And he also thinks that that is the real advancement in life, and whatever is stated in the scriptures, the spiritual knowledge is ignorance. That is how the materialistic man tries to understand. So it is specifically stated that the real knowledge will lead us to happiness and the material knowledge will lead us to destruction. Now, why it is called destruction? Because material knowledge is also called jada vidya, because the knowledge doesn't have it doesn't have consciousness. It's not consciousness. So therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur clearly states that the jada vidya, the material knowledge, it traps the conditioned soul, the Maya, by various plans. So a person who's trapped by Maya, he doesn't know how to lead his life happily. So therefore, it is generally observed, in the material world, they want to advance, they want to advance by this process of science and technology. So therefore, they work day and night. And here Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says that the man will become an ass by this process, because he doesn't know the real knowledge. So the material world is like a ocean. It's a ocean, and it is also called a sagara. Sagara, it is compared to many things like forest, tree, river, many other things. It's because it is compared to forest, tree, because man, the material world is so vast, and it is also miserable. So how to get away from this? So this is also specifically stated that it is a bhavasagara, not bhava, it is bhava. Bhava means because it is bound by birth, death, old age, and disease. So therefore, now how to get away from this bhavasagara? And it is also clearly explained that this ocean, the materialistic ocean, is very, very dangerous, and it is very difficult to cross. And the spiritual world, the spiritual knowledge, the spiritual world is called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The spiritual world, or the spiritual knowledge, is filled with Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the real nectar which can lead us to the happiness. Now, many examples are given, and the material world, the material knowledge, avidya, is called poison. So, a person cannot become happy by drinking poison. So, therefore, it is compared to the ocean of poison. Here, there is one example given. One time a person is standing in front of the ocean with a swimwear. He was standing for a long time, watching the ocean. A passer nearby, he was astonished why this person with a swimwear is standing for more than 2 hours. Why is he standing like that? So with a lot of curiosity, he goes and asks him, "Excuse me, please let me know. See, you are in a swimwear, and why are you waiting for such a long time? From past 2 hours, I see you standing here in front of this ocean." And this person tells that I want to swim, but I am waiting for the waves to stop. Now, in an ocean, at no point of time, the waves will stop. This is called a material knowledge. So, therefore, and it is also called a suffering. The problems will crop in like waves. So, a person tries to overcome the material problems by his own endurance. But it is also clearly stated in the scriptures that a person in the verge of trying to solve one problem, the dozen problems will crop in. And when he tries to solve that dozen problems, hundreds of problems will crop in. This is Bhavasagara, the material world. And the material knowledge, the avidya, is full of ignorance, and it cannot give any solutions to solve the problems. So therefore, taking a human form of life, we need to attain perfection. Now, how do we attain perfection? In Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna says in Uddhava Gita, he says that the body, the material body, is like a boat, and everyone needs, in the spirit, in the material world, after crossing of 8.4 lakh species, people will automatically get, during the process of the during the process of birth, death, and old age, in this process, they will get the human form of life. And once they get this human form of life, they have to, in the process of evolution, they will get the human form of life. So, for a boat, there need to be a boatman to cross the ocean. So, the boatman here is the spiritual master. So, spiritual master, he guides us by giving reference to various scriptures and gives us the instructions which are favorable to cross this material ocean. So, for the boat to move in a right direction, it needs the proper direction, and it needs the wind to be moved in a favorable way. So it is also, when we see in the material world, we can see there are many disasters like typhoons, cyclones, where they will go against the direction, and they will create a lot of problems for the movement of ships. And here there is an example narrated here. Last year in Gujarat, there was maybe a few years back in Gujarat, there was lot of tides and waves coming in the ocean, and there's so many big ships were thrown out of the ocean, and it was so disastrous. So this is the situation compared to the materialistic people. They try to cross the ocean full of sufferings, and they'll be thrown out of the direction which they want to go. So now this is very important. Now for us to cross this Bhavasagara, a person with the help of a spiritual master following the instructions, he can move by taking the favorable, he can move in a favorable direction. So this is very important. But the materialistic person doesn't accept this. So the person who doesn't accept this real knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, he is called the killer of the soul. And why he is called the killer of the soul? But even though we know that the soul doesn't have a death, and here it is explained that he is killing the spiritual consciousness. That is why he is called the killer of the soul. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that there are so many sinners, the greatest sinners. Even if the greatest sinner, if he is able to sit on the boat and take the directions given by the spiritual master, and by the process of surrender, that person can be, he is really great. So the process of acquiring the knowledge, the real knowledge, vidya, through spiritual master and scriptures, this process with the attaining the transcendental knowledge, one can surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is the real path how we can attain perfection. So Shri Brahmaji in Srimad Bhagavatam, he gives us a wonderful prayer telling that one who surrenders to the lotus feet of the Lord is called Murari. Such a person can easily cross across this material world. It is clearly stated that the material ocean will become to the size of the hoof of the calf print, where he can easily cross over. So material world, we know that every step it is very, very dangerous. So then, but through acquiring the spiritual knowledge, the real knowledge, we can cross over this material world. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. These are the this cycle of crossing the material world is very, very important after having attained the human form of life. Therefore, one should become a devotee of Lord Krishna. So by becoming a devotee of Lord Krishna, he can easily cross over this material world. So it is also clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna in chapter 12, text number 6 and text number 7. Hetu sarvani karmani. And in the next text, Tesam yat samurdata. Here, Krishna gives us all the assurances. Those devotees who surrendered at the lotus feet of Lord and who engages all the activities in the service of Krishna and the devotees. So he for him, Lord will personally come and deliver the soul. Lord will personally come and deliver the soul. So Lord Krishna is so merciful. He is our real Father who can save us from this material world, which is very, very dangerous. And material world, we know every step there is a danger. Padam padam padam. Every step there is a danger, and we cannot overcome these dangers and full of suffering by any other process other than the spiritual knowledge, and that too through a bona fide spiritual master. So Krishna in this chapter, he clearly states and gives lot of assurance that he will personally come to deliver any person who is a devotee. He will rescue from these dangers which we are facing in this material world. So therefore, we have to take up this process of devotional service by serving Lord Krishna and the devotees of Lord Krishna. So Krishna, he will come personally. You know how he will come personally? He will come in his vehicle, he will come in his car, Garuda, and he will deliver us from this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. So he will also he is given so much of assurances in Bhagavad Gita, and we have also seen there are so many examples narrated in Srimad Bhagavatam, that how the devotees of Lord Krishna, after having followed the scriptures and the spiritual knowledge through the bona fide spiritual master, they have attained the real perfection. So here Srila Prabhupada has given us, and he has established so many centers across the world. Not only established the temples, but he has also given us everything ready in all the forms. The scriptures, as Prabhupada has written so many books where we can Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and many other small books. By reading all this through the help of spiritual master, by the process of surrendering. That is the only process where we can overcome the material sufferings. So therefore, being a devotee and after having taken up this process of Krishna consciousness, we are very, very fortunate. We are very fortunate in this material world, at least, that we can try to attain, if not perfection, at least some progress in this very life. And by doing that, parallelly, we can also help many other people who are also, we are seeing how they are suffering in this material world. So suffering of people in this material world, we know day to day we are seeing how people are suffering. So therefore, scriptures are also instructing us that we should have compassion to all the living entities, because by having compassion to all the living entities, we can also, it will also help us to progress parallelly. So here Srila Prabhupada speaks about how the leaders are not playing the responsible role in the modern society. The government is also not taken up the responsibility of attaining the real knowledge. They are also suffering. They are also suffering. And if the so-called leaders are suffering, then how about the common man? Where will he where will he end up? So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he has given us all what we require. There are temples, there are books, there are so many devotees. For more than 50 years, our ISKCON is trying to do a very good cause. It is trying to impart this real knowledge, vidya, and remove the ignorance. So wherever there is knowledge, there is no ignorance. Wherever there is sunlight, there is no darkness. So therefore, it is very important for us to impart this knowledge in various other areas. Devotees are, there are many devotees who are in working in different companies and different areas, who can reach the common public, and we can also invite them to the temple. So it is also mentioned that whenever we invite the materialistic person to the temple, they specifically deny, stating that they are very, very busy. They are very busy in various activities in the material world. And they tell that, no, we are very busy and we cannot attend these programs. But they don't know that this is the world of suffering. So there is no solutions in the material world unless and until they come and take the real spiritual knowledge. So we need to have some compassion and invite them to temple for various programs, because temple will have so many programs conducted all throughout the year. Not only festivals, there are Sunday programs and also the Bhakti Vriksha programs are conducted across all the areas in different parts of the cities, towns. So by reaching the common man, inviting them to the festivals, to the Bhakti Vriksha Satsang programs, this will help them to at least come and have a darshan of the Lord in the temple, take prasadam, and slowly there are chances of them getting attracted to our programs. So by this way, we can also see that we are the ISKCON movement, which has been established by Srila Prabhupada, which is been reached in almost all the countries and in all the areas. Like this knowledge has been imparted in all levels, schools, colleges, in the premier institutions also. We can see that in many IIT institutions, IIMBs, at that level, where the students who come out from there will take up the very high responsibilities in the companies and leading a head role. So when they are imparted this knowledge, then there are all chances that one day this knowledge can reach even to our political mass. But today, unfortunately, we see that the politicians are not inclined to take up this knowledge because they are in the more they are not interested in this real knowledge. Now here Srila Prabhupada explains that people are committing sinful activities because they don't have knowledge, the real knowledge they don't have. And it is the duty of the government to guide them in the path of the real knowledge. But unfortunately, as of today, it is not happening because here when Srila Prabhupada explains in this particular sloka, telling that when a person commits the crime, he will be jailed. Then when a person is jailed, the purpose of putting a person in prison is to reform him. But unfortunately, 100% reformation is not happening in the prisons. That is because the head of the prisoner, the jail, nor the ministry of prisons are aware of the real knowledge, the real spiritual knowledge. Unless and until they are aware, they cannot imbibe this or impart it in the jail, in the jails or prisons. So, but I have also seen that many religious institutions have taken up this initiative, and they have also approached many prisons across the country, in many parts, many across the world. Devotees have taken this initiative and they are conducting the Bhagavad Gita classes at least weekly once in the prisons. And one devotee from Bangalore, he is also taken up this process. He is also taken up this service in our central prison at Parapanagrara. So Prabhuji is doing from many years, maybe for more than 10 years. He is every week he is trying to visit. He is conducting these programs in our Bangalore prison, and he is also. Once I met him while giving some books to him. He is also distributing books in the jail. So he was sharing his experiences that in the prison we can see all categories of people. It is not only the poor, poverty-stricken people commit crimes and they are in jail. No, there are all categories of people are in the jail. There can be company directors, from company directors to the labor class. All categories of people are there in the prison, and we know what is the reason why they are present. So Prabhuji was sharing that there are many senior level cadre officers are also in jail, and they are also and many of them could take up this attend these classes sincerely, and they started reading Bhagavad Gita in the prison. And not only the high the even the low cadre, the labor class, and few others, they are also showing some favorable interest in taking up this knowledge. So this is called the real transformation or reformation. So knowledge, by taking the knowledge, one need to be transformed. So this transformation or a reformation in jail is happening, and this is also been done by various other organizations also. The Christian missionary is also trying to reach them. They are also conducting uh, variety of programs in these prisons, and even the other religions like Muslim, they are also trying to do some kind of activities. So by this process, at least a person who goes to the prison, if he is reformed and if he comes out, then that is the real aim of the government. So the government will become a successful government if they can reform the prisoners and leave them out. Otherwise, but it is very, very unfortunate. It is not happening. That is not happening now. It is happening. It is very small. It is a very small percent is happening. It's because of the institutions, the religious institutions like ISKCON. But in other way, the crime is getting increased. It's because in jail, because they don't train all the people, and there is no infrastructure also to train all the people in orderly manner, because lack of facilities and many other problems, the crimes have been increased. A prisoner walks into the jail and he, with other prisoners, he gets trained how to commit a bigger offenses. This is what is happening, very unfortunate. This is how it is happening. And he comes out of the prison, and he, with the help of those other prisoners, he will try to hatch a bigger crime, bigger plan to commit bigger crime offenses. This is very unfortunate. And maybe by trying to reach not only prisoners, the common man outside, and all the people, we know it is a material world, people are suffering. So we need to be very compassionate to all the people. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has given us this process. Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By this Sankirtan movement, by chanting this holy name, the most sinner, even the Chandala, can attain the highest stage. He can become a pure devotee. So this process have to be followed by the process of preaching, and this should reach to every town and village. This was created by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in many parts of it is reaching to the towns and a few villages, and this should continually increase so that one day it will become Vasudeva Kutumbam. So ours is a Sanatan Dharma where the whole world can live under one roof. This is what Srila Prabhupada and our scriptures have explained, and we can also see this is happening across the world. So by following this process and under the guidance of spiritual master and the senior devotees, we can take up this process very sincerely. By following seriously and sincerely, Srila Prabhupada tells that one can really cross over this material ocean and try to attain the perfection in this very human form of life. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I would like to end here, and I would like all other devotees to add something if I have missed in this, and please share their realizations or any comments, corrections.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So wonderful. So nicely you covered the real problem, Vidya, and also the ignorance of people so nicely. And the more important, as suits your profession, you talked about the prison preaching. So wonderful, Prabhu. So now I think devotees can unmute themselves. One second. Share their questions or realization, if any. Yeah, can someone try and test it as unmute is possible?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhu, we can unmute.
Yeah, you are a co-host. You'll be able to do others. Someone else? I think Uttara Mataji, I think you tried. Okay. Anyone else? So just try, and others also can contribute, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Thank you for the wonderful lecture in the morning, Prabhu. Very nice to hear how we have to remain very attached. You know, though, I mean, we should have that, first of all, the compassion as well as make sure we are sticking to parampara. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Example was very nice about the human body is a boat and the boatman is a spiritual master. Following is it's an excellent. Thank you, Prabhu, for the nice class. Wonderful.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams.
Dandavat.
Thanks for the nice class, Prabhuji. That example of swimmer standing in front of the ocean was very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thanks for the wonderful class.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Any questions? We have another maybe 10 minutes time. So if somebody can discuss few points, it would be great.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Sankarshan Predas here.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you for very
Dandavat
nice
Pranam,
talk,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. I have one doubt, Prabhuji.
Please, Prabhuji, I will try.
Prabhuji, actually now in the current context, we go through the material educations like engineering or medicine or law or all those type of professional degrees. And the current material education is completely devoid of the spiritual knowledge.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Somehow, many of us, or if you see many senior devotees, they are highly qualified through this material education, but now they are in the process of devotional service. So in the general preaching, when we go and preach, the perception among the common public is that, okay, these devotees are highly materially educated. So that becomes an attraction. So if I'm a fifth standard pass out person and if I go and preach versus a person who is highly qualified and also performing a lot of devotion service, and if that person preaches to common public, so there will be a difference in the beginning. I'm telling Prabhuji, oh, okay, this person who is preaching is highly qualified. So it's not that he is jobless and he is coming and preaching, but he is actually highly qualified. So from that perspective, this material education is helping us in one way in devotional service and spreading the knowledge. So how to understand this perspective of this material knowledge is avidya, whereas it is actually helping us, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu. So here I can share what Radhashyam Prabhu was telling with his personal life. He was telling when he was around 5th to 6th standard, when he was studying, he expressed his father telling that I'm not interested in studying in this school, this education. I'm totally interested in spiritual education. So I'm not interested in this. So therefore, I don't have to continue this so-called education. Then his father gave him an instruction telling that if you want to impart the spiritual knowledge across, you need to have certain qualification where people can hear you. If you don't have that, they will not listen to you. So therefore, you need to have a graduation. Unless and until you do that, you cannot impart this knowledge to others. So this is very important, Prabhuji. Now we know how people in the materialistic world, we need for them to take these instructions, we need a leader. Leader means a person who is studying IIT or IIMs, and if he is holding a rank number 1, he will become a role model. And if that role model is having spiritual knowledge, then he can have a great impact on the entire classroom or a college. So therefore, it is very, very important to have a position in the material world also, so that we can attract and set an example to many people. So I'll give you a gross example. In the converse, I will give another gross example. Today, unfortunately, in towns and villages, if you want to celebrate a Devi festival, to attract a huge crowd to that festival, they call these cinema actors or orchestra singers to attract people, the mass, because their intentions are different. It is not spiritual. To attract crowd, they call these cinema actors, some cinema personalities or singers. And so in our spiritual life, if someone is really highly educated, it can be a doctor, it can be a lawyer, it can be anyone for that matter, he will have chances of attracting more people than any other person. So similarly, like we have initiated this preaching, at least conducting some programs in the court, Prabhuji, in the city civil court, Bangalore. We have started, means whenever they celebrate festivals like Ramanavami, Ganesha Chaturthi, from past more than 12, 13 years, they are trying to invite us. They are trying to invite ISKCON devotees for kirtan, for class, for prasadam. Earlier they used to get it from outside, but now they are insisting that prasadam should come from ISKCON. More than 7 to 8,000 advocates will gather on festivals like this, and they want to have kirtan from ISKCON. They want to have class from ISKCON devotee. They want to have prasadam from ISKCON. Now, once what happened is, maybe a few years back, Rangaraj Prabhu and family, they came to do kirtan in the court. The Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court, Kamal Mukherjee, he was from Bengal many years back. He came, Chief Justice came to grace that occasion, and when normally people will be waiting to garland the Chief Justice, all the lead advocates, they are all waiting to honor the Chief Justice by garlanding and taking photographs. But the moment the Chief Justice, after attending the kirtan and after that, he himself came forward and took the garland and he went and honored to Rangaraj Prabhu when he was doing kirtan. The whole our advocate community, the lawyers were very surprised and it was a shock for them. Chief Justice is taking the garland and going and honoring that kirtanier. What is this? And he just spoke few words, and he was from Bengal and he knows about Mayapur and things. Thereafter, the way they received the ISKCON devotees, thereafter only they started inviting our ISKCON kirtans, the classes, the prasadam. Before that, they used to invite whoever is the best singer, Karmi singers, and wherever they can get a hotel prasadam, who can give cheap and tasty ones. This is how they were attracted, because they want to attract that particular function in a grand manner. That was their intention. But when Chief Justice came and honored like this on that occasion, from then the advocate community, they changed their method of conducting the festivals. Therefore, this is very important. The leaders in the society have to play a very great role. And if they are imparted with this knowledge, they can create a better impact on the society. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for that sharing your experience and also the details. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Wonderful. Perfect question, perfect answer. So nice, Prabhu. Yes. Anyone else? Any comments, questions, feedback?
Hare Krishna.
Madhumala. Yeah.
Prabhuji. So nice, wonderful class, Prabhuji. And what I heard from Guru Maharaj, this material education is Vidya, but when it is utilized for serving the Lord,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
that will become a Vidya. When you all these educational aspects or paraphernalia what we are having, if you utilize in the service of the Lord, then it is spiritualized.
yes,
That's what it is. I heard. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so no other comments, feedback. We can end the class here with the Vaishnava Pranam. Prabhu, Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitana Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Dayamaya Baladev Prabhu Ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you once again for giving me an opportunity, Prabhuji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I'll end the meeting now.